Hello, everyone. So, if you haven't listened to part one of this episode, you need to go back and listen to part one. I want to make sure that no one forgets to listen to the whole entire thing. Coming back to what I said about I didn't really manifest him, I worked to be a match for him. I had been manifesting him, honestly, for like the longest fucking time. I have been manifesting him since I found out what manifestation is and figured out how to do it, which was about 20. When was I living in Sydney? 2018. I really started getting into manifestation, I think, around 2018. I honestly can't really remember. Oh, no, I was into it before that. Whatever. I think I started manifesting him around 2018. And I'd always had a vision of a man with brown hair. I didn't pigeonhole myself though. I did date guys with blonde hair as well. Because like you just never fucking know, right? And I'm not about pigeonholing myself and being like obsessed with what I think I know. Key thing. We think we know, but we don't fucking know. So we have to get our egos out of the way. So I'm saying I didn't manifest him because he didn't just come out of thin air. I didn't just journal about him for 3 months and then there he was. He showed up on a dating app and that was the end. That's not how it worked for me at all. It was years and years of frustration, of heartbreak, like in terms of heartbreak of like, oh my God, this guy isn't the one. Like this guy is not him because like I was still dating and I was dating great guys, but it was like, no, no, no. Like it was the questions, right? It was me being unsure rather than just like the solidified, like, of course. Um, and so it was years of heartbreak around exhaustion, around feeling like it wasn't happening. I remember so many times of just feeling like so frustrated, so defeated, so fucking like I felt so impatient, like so angry at the universe and just like annoyed. It felt like a carrot was being dangled in front of me because I would date these great guys, but it wasn't clicking. Like it just wasn't that like two puzzle pieces fitting together. This is the key thing though that I want you guys to remember. I say key thing so often. I really need to stop that because I say like key thing 10 times in the thing. It's like in the podcast, like, okay, Monica, how many key things? Majority of people will settle because of like timelines they put themselves on with their life. And I was not willing to settle. And even in our relationship right now, I am never willing, it kind of annoys him, I think. I am never willing to be just okay. We are growth orientated people. I am a very growth orientated person. And so I need us to always be doing better, being better, having better sex, having better conversations, growing, evolving. I always want more from us. I also know when to like fucking cool it for a few months. But what I'm saying is like, I just knew that I could never allow myself to settle because I would hate myself for it. I would absolutely hate myself for it. And I'm so glad I didn't settle. And here's the thing, he had the exact same mindset. He is 7 years older than me. Hold on, 27, 28, 6, nearly C7. Because I'm December, he's January. It's one of those weird things where it's like, is it 6 years or 7 years? I can't, whatever. It's one of the two. He's older than me. And he also was very big on, I'm not settling, I'm not settling, I'm not settling. And it's fantastic because we're both on the same, like, agenda with that, if you will, even in our current relationship. Because once you get into a relationship, you're still manifesting your dream relationship. That shit doesn't stop. Once you've manifested your man or manifested your woman, it's not like, oh, the work is done. Now I can just chill out and be a shit human. No, you're still growing. You're still evolving. You're still showing up for yourself. So I'm so grateful that I didn't settle. And I very much have that energy of not settling in that mindset. And that he also very much has that energy and that mindset of not settling, because it means that within our relationship, we're also continuing to grow and continuing to grow. So coming back to, I didn't manifest him. I worked for him. So I've spent a long period of time healing, evolving, integrating, embodying everything. And so when I look back, you could only connect the dots going back, never forwards. When I look back, I'm like, of course we didn't meet earlier. Not just from my perspective, but also from him. Because like I was saying before, he was not, oh my God, if we met 3 years prior to what we did, even 2, 1, 6 months, I mean, we wouldn't fucking be here. Just let me put it that way. Not just because of me, but also because of him. Like I think that a lot of the time we can really tell ourselves that we are ready. I really do believe this because I told myself so often that I was ready. And then when I actually met him, and once we got into the relationship, I remember thinking, thank God I didn't meet you earlier. Like the universe just knows, or like God, whatever you believe in, just knows. I'm getting emotional thinking about this, which just really tells me like the truth of what I'm saying and kind of what's coming through is that when you look back at what you manifested, you tell yourself like, of course it happened in this timing. Of course it took quote unquote this long. Of course I wasn't ready. And so we have to remember now when we're in the thick of not having what we want, that even though we think we're ready, we're actually probably not. And when we get it, we're going to look back and be like, okay, it makes sense. And so remembering that from when it's happened to you in the past of, when you've looked back on manifestations and been like, okay, that made sense. Remember that going forward. So you're not feeling like you're blocking yourself or like you're not getting the manifestation because you don't deserve it, because that's not what's happening. But yeah, I remember thinking back and just thinking, thank God this didn't happen any earlier, because if it happened earlier, I never would have gotten that amazing year in New York. I mean, I only got 1 year in New York. Like that was not the fucking plan. That was never the plan. Everyone always said to me, and I always knew this myself, after I left Australia, I'd be in New York for the rest of my life. Obviously, COVID then fucked that up for a little bit. So went to London, came back, and it was like amazing. I have my dream apartment, like out of control. I lived the most incredible life and whatnot. I was so happy. And then this man comes in and then everything changes. And I'm like, thank God that didn't happen earlier, because I wouldn't have then gotten that incredible experience that I know that I needed for myself. Thank God that, whatever, I can go on this forever. But my point is that you don't know the right timing for yourself, but you do want to feel like you have cleaned up your side of the street so that when you do meet him, you don't have everything coming to like a head because you haven't confronted these different parts of yourselves, or because you haven't actually been able, like you haven't even enjoyed your single life. Like you need to right now enjoy your single life, because I'm telling you, there's going to be a day or a week or a month or a lot of days where you're like, I wish I enjoyed my single life more. And I really enjoyed being single. I really enjoyed being single. I also really enjoyed dating. Even when I wouldn't have, these amazing dating experiences, or even when, it wouldn't go anywhere. I really fucking enjoyed it. I had fun for me. I wasn't going out just for the guys. I wasn't dressing up just for the guys. I was doing it for me. I was having so much fun, meeting new people, learning about different people, learning about myself. And so now that allows me to enjoy my relationship, because I don't miss being single. I don't regret not enjoying my single life because I did. And I also have been able to I talked about this in the like really enjoying your single era episode that we can link below as well. I also I'm also able to take what I need to keep connecting to from being single and put it in my current life. So I haven't lost that part of myself. Like I still do the things that I loved doing when I was single now, and not involving my fiance. We don't have like a super codependent. I mean, we are codependent because we're fucking obsessed with each other and we love each other, but codependent in the way of like, I don't do everything now with him. I still have that kind of single part of me, because that also is that healthy independence that allows you to come together as a stronger couple as well. So, on the flip side of settling, I want to also jump in with reminding you guys to make sure that you don't have insanely high expectations, or like you're so specific that you've pigeonholed yourself, where you then feel like he's not perfect enough, he's not perfect enough, she's not perfect enough, where it's just constantly like people aren't exceeding your expectations or meeting your standards. Now, you have to have standards. You got to be discerning with this. You have to have standards for yourself. You've got to know the needs that you need to get met. You just want to make sure that they're actually the need, that they're actually important, that you have some flexibility potentially around some things, maybe not, or some understanding around things, or maybe not, right? So, like I was saying before with the ambition example, but of course you could be very firm on no smoking, right? Or very firm on he must want to have kids. There doesn't need to be any flexibility around that, right? But you also want to be able to be honest with yourself of what are the things like you need to kind of drop from your ego and be flexible on. So maybe it's the amount of money that he makes. Maybe it's where he lives. Maybe it is, the timeline of things for him. For example, maybe it's his past. You only know what works for you. And it's really about thinking I need to remain in an energy of I respect myself. You do not want to be abandoning any part of yourself by any means. So that's why I'm saying, we can't, if you really want to have an amazing dating experience and also be making sure that you're not, draining your energy to guys that are just not right for you, then actually take the time to reflect on past dating experiences. Have you sat down and reflected on past dating experiences? Most people don't. And this is one thing that I give to all my clients that have gone through breakups. People don't want to face their side of the street. They don't want to acknowledge their contribution to the breakup. Or if the breakup was their choice or it was really amicable, they don't want to look at the red flags that they ignored when they went into the relationship, or they don't want to, look at what they ignored for 6 months that then festered into massive resentment. It is so important for you to be very real and very honest with yourself in dating. Otherwise, you are going to stay in that fucking cycle of feeling like dating is a dead end experience for you. And it's not a dead end, but it does become a dead end when you are going in with fucking blind, when you're going on with what's the word? Not blinders on. That's what you kind of want. You want to be blinded to the guy's not a match for you, but whatever. When you're going into dating without clarity and without direction for yourself, that's where you start to get confused. That's when you start to date guys that aren't actually a fit for you because you're like, oh, maybe he'll change, or oh, maybe he will want a relationship, or maybe this will happen. What you're doing is you're then showing up to dating with a lack of self-respect. That also ain't attractive to a guy that is looking for a wife. If you want a guy that is looking for a wife, show up in that kind of way. I showed up pretty guns blazing of this is what I want, this is what I don't want. Not in a mean way or anything like that, but before I even accepted his request for a date, I told him that I was only looking for a relationship. Now, we've talked about this in a Q&A at the I think it was the Paris immersion, maybe it was New York, but we talked about this in a Q&A recently, one of my events. And he was saying how, I think it was Paris, he was saying how to some guys that actually could be really off-putting, right? If you're I'm only looking for a relationship. Now, when we're doing these Q&As, I'm jumping in with suggestions as well, because he obviously isn't into this work. And then I followed up with saying, but wouldn't that be a good thing, babe? Because if she's looking for a husband, and he was like, oh yeah, wait, actually, yes. If he then is that's too much, that's probably a good thing, he was saying. And I'm like, exactly. If that's off-putting, if you saying I would I'm only looking for a committed relationship, if that's off-putting to him, or too much, or too overbearing, oh my God, God help you then when you're having a meltdown. He can't then be there to hold you if he can't even accept the fact that you know what you want. Versus the other kind of man that is so attracted to a woman that knows what she wants, that has self-respect, that stands up for herself. That's one of the things that Hal has said time and time again. And he said this to me this weekend, actually, even, that has been one of the things that he was the most attracted to in the beginning, and still is that I know what I want. I knew what I wanted. I know what I want. I'm not afraid to voice it. I'm not afraid to show up with self-respect and to not be a people pleaser. And that was attractive to him because that's also not fully what he was really embodied in. He now he more so is, but that was something that was really almost a bit exotic. And that wasn't off-putting because we were a match for each other. When you are your fullest self, ladies and gentlemen, when you are your fullest self, that is a match for your person. That is attractive. That is the thing that they love the most about you. That is not off-putting. So early on, when I just got to see his truest, craziest, most bizarre self, and I kind of say this in a really nice way in our vows, to a lot of people, it would be off-putting. But to me, it is I'm obsessed because it gives me permission to also be fucking crazy. And it just is I see all of his authenticity and whatever. It was a match. So when you're hiding a part of yourself thinking that, oh, guys want this, guys want that, better not show too much of this, better not show too much of that, you are prolonging finding your man, and or You are making the experience harder for yourself because it's draining. I want for all of you, and this is what we speak about in embodiment dating, the masterclass, even if it takes you 2 more years to find your man, that 2 more years will feel better if you don't feel like you're angry, frustrated, exhausted all the time from dating and losing a part of yourself. And it will feel like it will go faster if you are being your authentic self, right? Where you're not feeling like you're losing a part of yourself, it's exhausting, it's draining, etc. It's quality over quantity in my mind with dating. I would rather go on 2 dates a year and then be like super high quality dates, like fucking amazing, than 20 dates in a year and me feel depressed every time I'm walking home because of how shit it was. So the quality is important. You will have higher quality dates if you are yourself from the get go, from the moment that you meet him. And what I do want to say is you don't, nothing against them, but you don't have to meet your man on a dating app. You don't have to be on a dating app. Don't think that if you're not on a dating app, you're then like closing off an avenue to meeting him, blah, blah, blah. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are meant to meet this person, you not being on a dating app is not going to cockblock you from meeting this person. What is going to allow you to meet this person? I know this is like not really specific, but you have to just get it. Like listen to this like minute again and again and again and again. What is going to get you to meet your person is following your intuition, is living your days, living your life, living your months in a way that just feel good, is going to the supermarket because you just wanted to. For example, instead of being frustrated that you forgot eggs, you drive back and you go there and all of a sudden you've met this guy in an aisle and that's it, you're getting married to him 2 years later. I went on a ski trip by myself. I now have friends that know how to ski, that ski really well. At that time, I had no friends that knew how to ski really well and that also could just like go on a really nice ski trip and pay that amount of money. Um, and grateful that now I do. And so I went alone. That wasn't going to stop me. I wanted to go have fun. I wanted to have, I wanted to live my life. And I met him. I have met some of my best friends in in dog parks. I've met people in supermarkets, not joking. I literally met an Australian guy and like Australians aren't that common in Atlanta. They're quite common in New York. So like nothing if I met an Australian guy in New York, but I met an Australian guy, not romantically, in Atlanta in the supermarket. Do you know what we started talking about and how we bonded? Fucking homeopathics. I walked into that aisle and I grabbed some homeopathics for my fiance because he was sick at the time. And he just said to me, he said, "You look like you know what you're doing. Can you help me? My wife is really sick." And I was like, "Are you Australian?" And because then I started talking and we had a conversation and it was amazing. And I kind of wish that I was like, "Do you want it?" I really, I was like running in and out because I needed to get him stuff. But I really regret not saying to him, because normally I actually say this to everybody. I'm always like, "Want to be friends?" I regret not saying that to him, because having like somebody with the same accent and same upbringing is just a very special thing. I don't have any Australian friends in Atlanta, and I do miss that because I had Australian friends in New York, and it was just like a really nice feeling. Whatever. Total side note. My point is that intuitive nudge, or that thing that you forgot, or that moment of like frustration because your car broke down all of a sudden, that could turn into the moment that you meet your person. I did a nugget on this. I don't know whether I've posted it already because I've recorded some for you guys to get whilst I'm away. But ladies, it's with great pleasure that I am announcing that Magic Money and Manifestation Level 2 is back and it is open for enrollment until the end of the month, the 27th of September. This program is for those of you that are aware of manifestation, you're aware of money mindset, and you've already done some work on manifesting and money mindset, and you kind of have been manifesting things, you have improved your money mindset, but you really want to take it up a notch. And you do not want a program that just gives you the kind of like fluffy woo woo journal and like do meditative exercises. You want a program that teaches you what I call embodied manifestation, where essentially your words become your spells, that the thoughts turn into what is happening in your life and right in front of you. So embodied manifestation is a phrase that I came up with, and basically it's encompassing how I manifest and how I've developed this manifestation technique over the years when I first started manifesting. And I really thought when I first started manifesting that everybody else can manifest, but I couldn't manifest. And so Embodied manifestation is basically, making manifestation something that is just in your life. You don't need to sit down and journal and, do all of these certain practices in order to manifest. Those are the add ons. If you can do them, amazing, but they're not like necessary in order for you to actually obtain your dream life. So, Magic Money and Manifestation Level 2, it is a fully channeled program. It is not the regurgitated or run of the mill concepts and teachings that you can get from Google or other programs. So MM2, every single module, it has this beautiful blend of the channeled parts, the intuitive parts, and then of course, because you guys know me, the very, very actionable and more logical parts. So I'm giving you guys the energetics and the fluff and the woo-woo, and it's going to land and like activate inside of your body. If you're thinking about joining MM Level 2, you want to join on the 4th, 5th, or the 6th of September to take advantage of a little bit of extra abundance, because I am giving you guys a early bird or like, pre-enrollment kind of discount if you join on the 4th, 5th, or 6th of September, and then it will go back to full price. So if you know you want to join or you've been sitting on the fence or whatever it is, like go do the reading, look at the program now so that you're able to join at the beginning. And also if you've missed out and you're listening to this episode after those dates have passed, that's okay. It's still worth joining. And the earlier that you join, the earlier you can start seeing that return on investment coming back. Don't wait until the day before it closes. Like that, my friends, is called your ego is getting in the way and you don't want to make a decision. Claim your dream life, claim your expansion, claim your next level as you join MMM2 and get stuck into the material straight away, because the earlier that you get stuck in, the earlier you can implement and the earlier you start seeing changes in your life. So I was driving back from the Cairo and the channeled message came through of manifestation doesn't just help with manifesting what it is in your life. Learning manifestation and having that connection with the universe and yourself and your intuition and trusting that, it also literally regulates your nervous system. It reduces your stress load because, when all of a sudden the traffic is so bad that you then, are late to your doctor's appointment or you miss your sauna appointment, it's so easy for your ego to be like, oh my God, I'm so angry. But what if you were just like, okay, not meant to be, like, or like, all right, it's a bummer, but for some reason I meant to sit in traffic, or for some reason I need to just go home rather than go to the sauna appointment. What if the universe is actually guiding you to something, greater than going to the sauna? What if, you having your car break down, what if that is guiding you to something greater? Because a guy pulls over to help you and it ends up being your fucking husband. So what if the thing that actually your ego thinks is a cock block, is something slowing you down, is this irritating thing, is something worth getting stressed over? What if that is actually the thing that is going to then get you to what you want? Whether it's a small thing of what you want, like a restful night's sleep because you haven't depleted your body from going to the sauna, because even though you wanted to go to the sauna, actually the universe or God knew better and was like, this bitch is tired. She should not be going to the sauna. I'm sending her home. This is what happened to me when I was going to the Cairo. Basically, like, traffic was bad, appointment ran late, whatever, and then I couldn't make it to the sauna. And that flip in your brain then also keeps you in a higher vibrational frequency to then continue to manifest, rather than you sitting in like frustration and thinking that you and your ego know what's better for you than the universe does. So we can be implementing that with attracting in your soulmate. Like, go and do what makes you happy. I know that sounds so fluffy, but that is what you need to be doing. Okay, the last thing I want to leave you guys with, that's very important, is noticing if you have any timelines for yourself that are like embedded in, passed down from parents, that are also potentially causing stagnation in your manifestations. For example, are you cock blocking yourself because you think, well, I have to date him for 4 years, we have to be engaged for 1 year, then we get married. Date him for 3 years, engaged for 1 year, married for 1 year, and then we have kids. So, oh my God, that's like 5, 6 years on. Oh no, I'm going to be 45. Like, that's too late to have children. Like, are you putting yourself on a timeline that's then causing there to be pressure and stress? And like, that's not conducive to manifestation around meeting your man, versus realizing you could meet him a month later, be engaged or pregnant. Like, there's no fucking like, you have to do this before this, before this. And for all you know, ladies, you could literally meet your man and be pregnant and be married by the end of the year. I'm not joking. You literally could be like, let that be a possibility. So take timelines, like get the timelines out of your brain, because we didn't follow any timelines when we met. And in fact, trying to slow down for us felt so hard and so out of alignment. So we just did the pace that felt right. And our pace was very fast for other people, but it's not about other people, it's about us. So just take the timelines out, because when you meet your person, you guys are going to be going at your perfect timeline. And like, even as an example, I spoke about this in like the wedding Q&A, I think. When we initially got engaged, or even before we got engaged, I wanted to be engaged for a year and then get married. Also, like visa things, anyway, and get married kind of quickly, because I was just like, I'm fucking obsessed with you. I want to get married literally yesterday. Like, we wanted to get married very soon because we just loved each other. But then when it came down to it, and the book and work, I actually was the one that then said to him, babe, I don't want to get married in a year. I want to enjoy being engaged. Like, I've really realized, like, it doesn't change anything or our commitment level being married. Like, it does energetically, obviously, but I just kind of, I then had a change of pace and timeline, and I allowed that for myself, rather than thinking I have to stick to this one timeline and then I can't change my mind a week later. You can always be, your manifestations are always growing and always evolving, and let that be the case with them. Okay. All right. I'm going to wrap this episode up for you guys, and I will see you guys in the next episode for next week.